Hi everyone, my name is Rochelle Rosario. I'm here today with my girls Lara.
Hiya.
And Jade.
Hi.
And Jade's not sitting on the sofa with us today just because she's a little bit camera shy. So the reason why we're filming today is because one of my goals with Rosario Fitness is not all about helping others get fit. I also want to help people with their overall well-being. And one of the things that really helped me through my struggles was watching YouTube videos and watching Red Table Talks and, you know, seeing the power of sharing and how impactful it is. I thought it would be good to share some of my life experiences, hopefully help people be more compassionate and more understanding, because we need it in this world.
A bit of empathy.
A bit of empathy, that's it, preach. And these girls have been there with me by my side through thick and thin, all the highs, all the lows, and I wouldn't be where I am now without them. So it's only right that they're here today to help me discuss how I overcame my adversities. We're going to be talking everything from mental health to addictions, sobriety, relationships, breakups, divorce, everything. And just to clarify also, we're not experts and we're not here giving advice either. We're just hoping I'm hoping by us discussing some of the things that have helped me overcome my hardships, hopefully it will help someone else. So we're gonna start with the most recent, which is when I was diagnosed earlier this year with PTSD. That stemmed from unfortunate incident where a man that I knew touched me very inappropriately without my consent, and it threw me. I was so scared and I tried to get on with life. I didn't even realise I had PTSD, but
that brought back
my memories.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. From so we'll call the one that happened this year event A, because that's the most recent. And what I didn't realise was that it was gonna, like you said, be a trigger for what happened years ago, where I went through an assault, a really bad one, and I never processed it. I never really spoke about it. The only time I'd speak about it was if I was drunk or like if I had a drink and I build up my confidence. And I remember speaking to you about it, and I just would tone it down so much.
Yeah,
and I was
really
like,
did at the time.
I don't think you knew how much it affected
No.
you.
No,
until
no
the most
way.
recent.
yeah.
And I think event A then
Triggered
opened
it.
a whole can of worms.
Whole can of worms.
And
Yeah.
that's what led to the PTSD. Really.
Yeah.
Because I think someone's actually said to me, I've had PTSD since. So we're gonna call the assault event B.
Yeah.
And someone said to me, you've probably had PTSD since event B, but you've just suppressed it so well.
Yes.
Of course, yeah.
And now event A has happened and it's brought it all to life. So, yeah, when event B happened, didn't talk about it. Or if I did, like I said, tone it down. And I'd always be like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And just be really positive and all that malarkey. When really, that's also a way of suppressing it. Just be like, everything's great. And it's like, no, it's not.
And I also think it's the situation that it occurred in. Had you maybe had, say, me or Lara or people around you closer to you at that time,
I would have handled it differently. Absolutely. And even with event A, like he knew I was alone and in a vulnerable situation.
Yeah.
And he tried to take advantage of
Massively.
that. I got out of that situation safe and sound.
Thankfully.
And thankfully a lot, I think, due to my sobriety as well, because I was able to think and be like, right, quick, boom, 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 go. And
before your sobriety, your first resort would have been to go and have a drink. And the situation could have been
worse, a lot worse. And especially where event B happened to me when I was under the influence of alcohol, that I always look back at that and think, I wonder if that would have happened if I was sober, because I would have had my wits about me. Whereas now, I felt, looking back at event A, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I was sober, because he could have, anyway.
But then it goes back to the fact, when we discussed this before, it doesn't matter like, whether you were drunk or not, whether you were
there's
sober.
Still horrible people out
it's
there.
not you, it's the person that committed this act.
Yeah.
You're not in control of other people's behaviour, and I think
there's something out of your hands.
Yeah, and these people clearly, they would have done that no matter what. That's them. They're horrible. They're evil people, and
disgusting. So I tried to crack on back with life. I was at work, and then it just got all too much for me. And I was really jumpy and just really, I don't know, just started feeling depressed again. And I haven't had depression since for years, basically. I was doing really well, but I recognised those feelings, and I was like, oh, something's not right. And I went to the doctors, and I was like, oh my gosh, can you help me, please? I was crying my eyes out. I told him about event A, event B, and then straight away he prescribed me with citalopram, which is an antidepressant, and he was like, how's your thought about medication? I was like, I don't care, just give me anything. And I got the prescription, went to the chemist, bought it, and it was only when I went home I found out it takes, sometimes for some people it takes 2 weeks to kick in.
Yeah.
And I was like, 2 weeks, I need
instant.
something now, And so I was like, oh, there's no point. Not no point, but I was like, what am I going to do right now? I need something now.
It wasn't the fix you was looking for.
No. And then one of the things that put me off as well was that the first few weeks of treatment, again, depending on the individual, it can make you worse. And I was feeling so bad, so depressed already. I was like, I can't risk making it worse, because that will tip me over the edge.
Yeah, well, I think it's some of the lowest points we'd ever seen her at, wasn't it?
Oh my God.
I've got to say, I've never seen you like that before.
No.
I mean, I've seen you depressed, I've seen you down.
This was a whole other level.
I think I was scared.
Yeah. I was petrified.
Worried, and I think it's a constant worry.
You worry about me anyway, let alone
PTSD.
Anxiety
anyway.
With her fast thinking self.
Naturally, we're all going to worry about each other. We're all very good friends, and I think to see you like that, I think it affected
everyone.
She was the shadow of her.
You feel helpless.
Normal self.
That you can't fix the situation, and your instinct is, I want to fix you. I want to make this better, and we couldn't, unfortunately.
No. But one of the things that I loved about you girls was there was no advice or anything. You were just there. You weren't being like, right, you should take the medication.
Never.
You should go to yoga. You should. It was nothing. It was just like, we love you. We're here for you, and that's exactly what I needed to hear.
And do what you need to do.
Yeah, because I really isolated myself. Again, another symptom of PTSD.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to see people. And sometimes you'd even call me, and I'll just message you. I'm like, I'll call you in a bit, which is so unlike me. I'll talk all the time.
But the problem is you encountered too many people that
had opinions and unsolicited advice.
And would try to make you feel that you had to do something by the book, and unfortunately these circumstances, there's no written rules on how to deal with it individually. Everyone deals with things differently. And you had to learn what was your coping mechanism.
I think as well, with the not being opinionated, like we said, we've done the right thing and letting her do what she needed to do. It's like, we'd speak to you, I don't want to get out of bed. That's fine. I don't want to have a wash.
Oh, that's fine. Because you were like, because I was like,
don't worry about it.
I haven't showered in days, and you're like, but you're amazing. You're sober. You stay sober for this, and then it was how I was like, I have.
There's always another day. Do you know what I mean?
And that was one of the times where every now and then I feel to crave for a drink. It's only when I'm stressed or something like that. But this was like, I want to go out and get absolutely smashed. Yeah. Like, I'd watch it on TV and I'd be like, I want shots, I want this. And it wasn't to do with going out having fun. It was like, I want to sleep for one night, because I had so many nightmares constantly, and it was like, I just want a good night's sleep and just to get conked out and forget about stuff for a minute. And that's where event B, because when event B happened, I was depressed and had anxiety already from the divorce and everything. So when event B happened, I was drinking a lot anyway, more than enough anyway. More than enough, is that even a thing?
Yeah.
Over drinking, basically. And then it went 100 times worse after the assault. And then that was my coping mechanism. So when I got diagnosed this year, well, before I was even diagnosed, when I got ill this year, I was like, straight away, I'm like, I want to get smashed. It wasn't because...
But that's a natural reaction, because that's always been your coping mechanisms in the past. So the first thing you think is...
glass of wine, Sauvignon Blanc, chilled.
Yeah, we'll do that, you know.
Yeah,
we have
because it works.
So I'll go home and have a drink.
It's not healthy. It's not a healthy way to deal with your hardships, but it did work, because it's like, it kept me going. I'd have a drink and I'd be like, right, I can go to work. Because I'm not thinking about it. Facing your demons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
that's why you only dealt with everything with event A, because you were
sober. I had no other choice.
Clear state of mind.
Yeah, had no other choice. So I went to see a counsellor, one that I've seen before when I was depressed. But when I saw her, I just didn't connect with her in the same way. I was like, I need something else. Like, I know a lot of the CBT stuff and I just needed something more. So then I found another counsellor, went to see her. That, my auntie, who's a therapist, was like, you're getting re-traumatised. Because I'd go in there, talk about the events, and then she'd be like, I'll see you at the same time next week. And I'll be crying my eyes out. There was no calming me down or anything.
Or no progression, nothing, was there? It was just leaving, feeling worse.
Oh, and she encouraged me to take the medication, antidepressants as well. And I was like, hold on, to me, that's my last resort. Like, I've got a history with addiction.
Yeah.
I'm here to see you to help me get over this and move forward without resorting to medication. So when that was like a red flag to me. So then I heard about EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, where it reprocesses your memories. I've actually got a diagram here that I'm going to share, that my therapist shared with me. So this is your brain, and that is your short-term memory, and that's your long-term memory. And when you go through a traumatic event, so PTSD, by the way, is like, it can happen when people come back from the war, it can happen after a car accident, acts of violence, and it's not just, even if it's happening to you, it can even be just witnessing it and you getting it. So that's classed as trauma. And your trauma memories are like this. So they're feeling very, very present, and I definitely felt like that. Any noise I would hear, even to this day, I'm still on high alert, but any noise, I'd be like, someone's coming in my room, someone's going to hurt me. I'd be proper on guard. And the goal was to get the trauma memories to go from here to your long term, and just look at it as something in the past. Not change what happened, but change the way that you see it and the way that you feel about it. So, for example, if I saw someone that looked like the man from event A, I'd look at him, I'd have to look, so I'd be like, oh, it's him, oh my gosh, and I'd have all these bad flashbacks and memories, and I'd be in a panic. Even though I knew it wasn't him, it would just give me a flashback and stuff, and it was horrible. Whereas now, if I see someone that looks like him, I'm like, oh, he looks like him. Like, I'll remember him, but I'd be desensitized. It doesn't trigger. Yeah. So that was the goal, and it was talking about going from your emotional side of your brain to your logical side. So where I'm in a panic and I'm thinking everyone's hurting me, it's trying to go to the logical side where it's like, you're actually safe, Rochelle, like it's cool. These are just your memories and we're trying to put them into the long-term one. So I asked my therapist, where's the memories from my assault, from event B? And she said, you've blocked them out and you've put them in a little box here. And I was like, oh, that's good. And do you remember I said it to you?
Yeah.
And you were like, no, Michelle.
No.
And my therapist said it as well. She's like, no, Michelle. So what she had to do was open that box of those memories from years ago, which I hadn't thought about in years.
Yeah.
Like every now and then, but not in detail. She had to open it, bring it back to the present. I had to process it and then bring it back down into your long-term memory and keep it, not blocked out, but just keep it to one side and just remind yourself that it's not so present. And so with my EMDR, the first 2 hours was my assessment. I had to go through everything. And then we started with the most recent, which was event A, and that was tough. I'd be crying the whole time, and then I'd go home, wouldn't get out of bed for days. And I'd say that to her as well. I'd be like, I've only showered because I'm coming to see you. And she's like, oh, that's not very good for your hygiene. I was like, don't care. And then, I'd have nightmares, constant nightmares. Not necessarily about the event, but very violent, always violent.
And it could have been any random person from, it doesn't even have to do anything bad to you in your past, but they could do in your dreams.
Yeah. And I'd always wake up like it was happening though. It wasn't like, oh, that was a bad dream. It was like, oh my gosh. And I'd have to put a light on and stuff. Because I've always had nightmares since event B from years ago, but very like 1 or 2 or 3 a year. Not this constantly every day, every night. And I was knackered. Anyway, so I'd do my EMDR for event A, and it would be every week thinking, just talking about the event over and over and over again until it went from me being emotional to me being logical, like thinking logical about it. Because by the end of it, my therapist was like, oh, well, why didn't you fight him? And I was like, because he's twice the size of me, and, you know, he would have been able to hurt me. Like, it was just about grab your phone and run. Yeah. And she goes, well, don't you think that you've done the safest thing that you could have done? And then it made me think, like, oh, yeah, like, although I was in a panic and I was really scared, I actually did the best thing. I actually, you know...
In that moment.
The
right thing to do.
Yeah, but I never looked at it like that. I just looked at like, oh my gosh, you know, really felt like a victim. When really it's like, no, you still actually had a good plan about you. You got your phone, you ran out of there, and, you know, you got yourself to safety. So then I started feeling a bit better, and I'm like, oh, okay. Started showering a bit more, started, you know, leaving the house a bit more. Yeah. And then we had to do EMDR for event B, which was the worst one ever. I had to talk about things, memories that I haven't spoken about in years, because I actually haven't really ever spoken about it to anyone in detail before, because no one ever asks you what happened, because obviously it's like, I don't want to talk about it. That's every time I would say it, like, I don't want to talk about it, or be like, I'm fine, so I had to talk about it in a lot of detail over and over again. And when you talk about it, your memories come back, and I could even remember the smell of the room. Sorry.
Carry on, that's fine. You've got this.
Okay, thank you. I could remember, this... I have to let it
This is
out.
all part of it. This is...
So I could remember the smell of the room, you know, the pain that I was in and everything, and it was hard. It was really hard because it felt like it was happening again, like, because it was so, is the word vivid, like, and it's so clear.
And you're reliving it over and over again.
Yeah, and it's, so that was tough. And then at that point, I had been vegetarian for over 2 years. And I ended up in McDonald's. Because that was like, I was like, oh, this is like not even coping mechanism, but I was like, oh, I need something. And I was like, you know, all right, went to McDonald's, got a burger. And I called you after, and I was like, oh my gosh, Jaded, I've done something awful. And you were like, go on. Because at that time, all I'd talk about, I want a fag, I want a drink. And I was like, I went to McDonald's and I got a Filet-O-Fish burger. And you're like, oh, Vish, I thought you was going to say you had a twos or a fag. And then you're like, and out of all the things to order in McDonald's, you ordered the bloody Filet-O-Fish. And then that made me feel better, because I'm like, oh, actually, like I didn't reach for a drink. But as the weeks went on, because I remember, you know, when I would talk about it, I was borderline having a panic attack, because I'm like, and the good thing with EMDR is that they have these buzzers, like these vibrating things in your hand. They buzz left to right, and it relaxes you. And one of the things that my therapist done, and she spent so much time, you know, taking down the detail of it, is my peaceful place, which is a beach in Philippines that I've been to all my life. And she asked me to describe it, and then she would read it out to me. She goes, you're in your peaceful place, and I'll just close my eyes. I'll be crying, but I'll be holding these buzzers, and I'll just picture myself on the beach feeling relaxed, and that helped calm me down. And then we'd start talking about it again, and I'd get panicky again and upset, like really like, oh, horrible. And then we'd get the buzzers out, calm down again. And it was really scary. And I remember I was in a bad way. Someone said to me, you know, you don't have to go next week. If it's too much, you don't have to go. But I was thinking, the thing is, the more I go, the more I'm going to get better. It's going to be tough, but I just need to push myself. So I went, and it did actually get easier talking more about it. And it was kind of like you piece the puzzle together. And I realised the reason why I never spoke about it was deep down I felt ashamed, even though it was something out of my hands. I never asked for it to happen to me. But I never realised I had that emotion. So when that came out in EMDR, I was like, oh, okay, it makes sense though. It makes sense, because it was such a horrible act that, you know, I think it's very common for a lot of people to feel ashamed after. Whereas now, I look at it like it's got nothing to do with me. Like, I am worthy. It's about the horrible people in this world. And unfortunately, I've just come across
bad people,
yes. So EMDR, so I kept on doing that, feeling better. I still wasn't 100% though. I felt like I needed to, I don't know, I just didn't feel 100%, and I was still on sleeping pills to help me. Oh, and another thing actually I wanted to mention was my suicidal thoughts. I've never had suicidal thoughts in my life, and I was in such a bad place and so tired as well. I was like, what's the point of living? Especially where I wasn't getting up for anything. You know, I was just like, there's no point of me living, because I couldn't see myself getting better either. I was like, this is me now, this is it.
Well, I think it's all the knocks you took as well. You took it so personally that it just seemed like that you were going to be a victim. You felt that you were going to be a victim for the rest of your life.
Yeah, because it kept, like, there was event
one
A
thing
and
after the other.
Yeah.
It wasn't, these were big things, but there was also little things that would occur in amongst these things as well.
And it was like setback after setback after setback, and you're like, right, I know I'm strong, but I'm tired. There's only so much I can take. So it was like, I'm done. And I couldn't see myself ever getting better. So I was like, there's no point, because everyone, you know, everyone was really sweet, like, miss you, Rochelle, thinking of you, da-da-da. Like, let's meet up, and it's like, you want the happy, bubbly, strong Rochelle. It's like, that isn't me anymore, and I thought that was it. And I remember I'd sleep, and I'd have all my sleeping pills here, and I'd have my citalopram at the end of the bed, and I'd be like, if I took all these sleeping pills and all the antidepressants, that I reckon that will finish me. And the only thing that would keep me from doing it was thinking, right, where am I actually going to do this? And because I was living with my sister, I was imagining, like,
Your nieces.
I can't, my nieces walking in and finding me, like, I could not do that to them. Obviously couldn't do it to my sister and my family. So I was planning to do it at a friend's house. But, you know, but that thought of being like, well, you'll do it at your friend's house, but your family and your friends are still going to get the phone calls saying that you're not here anymore. Yeah. And that's what prevented me, because it's like, I can't do that to them. And especially with you, where you just had Chase as well, and you're so happy, and like, it's like, can you imagine, this is like the happiest time of your life, you just gave birth to your
Well, that's what you kept doing, was apologising to me. I'm so sorry, like, you're meant to be happy. I'm like, I am happy, I'm sad that you're going through this, but I'm still happy that I can try and be there for you in any way, shape or form I can. And nothing, you can't take away my happiness of just having a baby. My happiness is knowing that I can be there for you as well.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but just knowing, if, you know, there's no written rules to these things, you can't set in stone what you can do for someone in this situation, but knowing that you could call me and I could do anything that you needed in that moment in time, that was my happiness.
And even like just going to your house and just doing nothing. Yeah. And that was really nice, because I knew that when you're like, come over, it really meant come over and just be myself, just chill, which was Debbie Downer. Yeah. Even your mum, when I saw your mum, and she's like, you're right, and I'm like, just want to sleep. She's like, okay, darling.
Just have a little nap.
Just do it. I'm like, I don't want to talk. I don't do anything.
That's it.
And then when she saw me when I come back from Philippines, she's like, bloody hell, like 10 out of 10.
That's it.
So after EMDR and I wasn't 100%, that's when I decided to go to Philippines, because that is my safe place, my happy place. Rebuild myself again. It was a really good way to come off sleeping pills as well, because I didn't need to wake up for anything. I mean, not that I was waking up for anything when I was in England, but even more so there, I could just be up all night and sleep all day and it wouldn't matter.
You didn't feel like you needed that normal routine
No. And my family was so supportive. They were like, you do whatever you need to do. And I did, and as soon as I got there, I come off sleeping pills, and that really, really helped. It was tough at first. I did it, probably took me a good couple of weeks to adjust, obviously with the jet lag as well. But when I did, I noticed I had more energy, and then I'd be reading more, and that was when I come off sleeping pills. It was actually when I had the energy and headspace to report the man from event A, because I couldn't do it before, because I was like, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want, you know, backlash, is that what you would call it? Like, I just don't have the energy. Whereas now I'd be like, right, come on then, like, if you're gonna say anything. So I called them and I went ghetto South London, swearing at them. Where the is my money? You're taking a you know, I've been signed off with anxiety, you know, I've got mental health issues, and you're with me. You, Rochelle, are a rotten apple. And I was like, you can talk. And she goes, yes, Rochelle, I can talk, because remember, you're the one with mental health issues.